Hello everyone, it is Studfit. Happy anniversary again. This is part 2 of our 3-part series to celebrate 1 full year of Mario Kart Tour. I want to check out, if you haven't seen it already, our top 10 video on drivers, as well as also one to be released here shortly on gliders. Today we'll be talking about the top 10 karts in the game today. The way that we're going to be looking at it is it's not necessarily the top 10 over this year or top 10 going forward, but at this one very moment, a few hours before the anniversary begins, what are the values today and today only? Obviously, with the anniversary tour being cities coming up, they shouldn't change too much, but we want to kind of just enjoy this anniversary by stack ranking these karts. And we didn't want to do it in any type of fluffy, arbitrary way. We wanted data to back it up. So I couldn't have done this without my good friend Tabor. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. Glad to join you guys again. Hopefully, as Studfit said, you guys checked out the top 10 drivers video, and we're excited to release the top 10 karts at this point. So hopefully you have a lot of these karts in your inventory. If not, maybe some will be available soon. You can pick these up.
If you don't know Tabor, hopefully you at least know the spreadsheet. They're all over the Discord world. Information, basically any data that you might think that the game might have. Tabor's probably pulled it into his spreadsheet and done a lot of analytics. Anything from plugging in your coverage of your certain lineup or top shelf, or to the top 10 lists, to anything you might think might be in the game. So definitely check that out. It is in the link. There's a link to it in this description. But I'll let you know a little bit more about the algorithm we chose and how we tried to use data to put together this list.
Yeah, so if you saw the top 10 drivers video, we kind of outlined this a little bit with the drivers. And so it's pretty similar to how we also ended up doing the karts and the gliders. So I'll go ahead and reveal kind of the formula that we've been using to calculate what we believe are, again, the most valuable. And again, this is our opinion. These are just suggestions of what we think is the most valuable based on the data and the analytics that I've collected. So if you do have any comments or any oppositions to what we have to say, or any agreements, we'd love to hear about it in the comments, so feel free to post below. So the first thing, again, we kind of focus on are the present day value and how things have worked out in the past. So the present day value, the first thing that we look at is the Karts Skill. Now, with drivers, there are 21 different abilities that each of those drivers had. With karts, it's a little bit more streamlined. There's only 5. As we did with the drivers' abilities, we went ahead and sent out a survey to the Discord community, a bunch of different Discord communities, about what they believed was the most valuable skill, all the way down to the least valuable skill. So we'll reveal that right now. And so 20% of the calculations were based on what the skill that each kart had. The number 1 skill, no surprise, was Mini Turbo Boost. After that, it was Jump Boost, then Dash Panel, Rocket Start, and then finally Slipstream.
No surprises there, I don't think.
No, I think that's kind of where we were. And really, some of these can be more beneficial than others. It really depends on the course of each one. If it's a trick course or an art course, odds are Jump Boost might be more valuable than a Mini Turbo Boost. It really depends on the driver, the kart, as well as the course that you're on. But all things kind of on a level playing field. It looks like the community thought that Mini Turbo was the most because you can really do that in a lot of places, and then all the way down. Along with those, we also looked at the rank mode use of these karts in the past history of the last year of Kart Tour. And so we decided 20% would go toward the previous rank mode use, which was the raw number of how many times they have been used as a top shelf item in the past. We also looked at the percentages, as we outlined during the driver's video, the percentages based on how many times they were a top shelf kart since introduced. So again, a percentage is not necessarily going to be even all the way across because carts were introduced at different times. But some of the most recent carts that were introduced could have a higher percentage because they were immediately put into a top shelf ranked mode course, whereas some of the other ones might have a lower one because they had more opportunity to be in or out of the ranked mode course. So 20% for ranked mode use, 20% for ranked mode percentage, 40% overall for that. And finally, we looked at the current layout of the driver's value, and we looked at to see which of these carts has a highest top shelf value for the number of courses that's assigned to it. And these are changed each and every tour. On Wednesday, when the anniversary tour comes out, I'm sure some of these will be buffed a little bit more, but we don't know which ones at this point. So 40% of the calculations on driver value. And again, we look at what we call assumed value, which is the number of top shelf courses that a cart has minus the city-specific courses, because those don't repeat very often. They are going to repeat, it looks like a lot of them for anniversary tour, but that's kind of the exception compared to the rule.
One thing I want to say about the driver's value is that, when we're looking at ranked, that's obviously a big chunk of this value, but there also are people who do the all cup ranking. And when you think about like what makes up ranked, you typically have a new track with, for week 1 and a new track on week 2, and the other 2 tracks will be relatively random. And so, they'll be pulling from this rotating list what we consider to be the tracks that make up this driver's value. But then if you have all cup ranking and you're looking at those stats and what coverage you have there, this is going to be even more valuable. So it's value for both those free-to-play players like yourself, Tabor, or the pay-to-play, play-to-win drivers and users like myself. It's going to help everybody out. And so I think that's extremely valuable. And then finally on this slide, just one disclaimer. This is just our opinion of what we feel like is the best way to value. As we've mentioned, this is not official from Nintendo. But we would obviously love your feedback. Let us know what your thoughts are and if you disagree or agree. And so with that being said, we'll jump into our number 10 with the anniversary coming up and being focused on cities. You might enjoy. I think we'll get to it in a second, but it's the Kabuki Dasher. So from this standpoint, you've already seen it a lot lately. If you enjoyed the Tokyo Blur 3, or pulled from that Kabuki Dasher pipe. But I'll let you take it from here, Tabor. Tell us a little bit more about Kabuki Dasher.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this top 10 list. Unfortunately, I only have 2 of these top 10 being a free-to-play player. So, there's a lot of these that I salivate and drool over a little bit, and I'm hoping to be able to pick these up in the near future. But I also have kind of a rarity ranking on my spreadsheet. And so the nice thing about this top 10 list is that only about 4 of them are really, really rare, and the other 6 are pretty common. It just depends on how much you've been able to pull from the pipe. So the Kabuki Dasher starts us off. This is actually the oldest cart in the list. It was revealed during the Tokyo Tour back in October, and it's been around a while. And I know it didn't have a lot of use after the Tokyo Tour was finished until Tokyo Blur 2 came around, and then Tokyo Blur 3 came around, and so they started having more use, and then some other courses that went along with it. But the Kabuki Dasher has 12 top tracks assigned to it. 10 of them are assumed, so it has 2 city tracks. It's been used in rank mode 13 times, which is actually the most of all the top 10 carts that we're going to talk about today. However, the percentage that it's been available is 8.3%, because again, it's been around for a long time. So there's been a lot of ranked courses that hasn't involved the Kabuki Dasher as well. Now, one other stat line that we wanted to add to this, not which driver and glider goes best with it, because it's kind of hard to do. You really revolve those around the drivers anyway. But we decided that, this is its skill is the Dash Panel Plus. And so we wanted to see from those 12 top tracks that it's assigned to it, which of those tracks are best for the dash panel skill that it has. And the 3DS Daisy Hills T and the Shy Guy Bazaar RT have the most dash panels assigned to it that would go great with the Kabuki Dasher. So if you do see one of the tracks in top shelf and you've got the one of those tracks in rank mode and you have the Kabuki Dasher, it's not only top shelf, but it's going to be a great top shelf since it has so many dash panels.
I appreciate that, Tabor, and hopefully that's helpful there. I think when we see a T course we're like, oh, this is a Jump Boost Plus preferred type of course for us. But I think in some of the T tracks, you still see a lot of dash panels, and Daisy Hills T and Shy Guy Bazaar RT obviously being pretty heavy in those dash panels. So just something to keep in mind there. And then also just make sure to check out that spreadsheet, because we're actually keeps track of how many dash panels there are and how many jump boosts there are in a specific track. So definitely leverage that spreadsheet. I think you'd be able to use it a lot more than you thought. As for explaining this screen for those who might be new to this format, there's a lot going on, and there was some great feedback from Sammy D to try to get some supers and commons on this. I knew it would look a little cluttered, but however, I do think it would be helpful. So I decided to put the extra work in and have those available here. Hopefully this helps. But on the left side, you see the top 10 unique coverage, and then on the right, you see the top 10 shared coverage. So what this means is you have on this slide all top 10 of our carts between what's on the right side of the screen as well as also on the bottom under great pairings. It makes up the top 10. If one of those top 10 is shared with this cart, then it is going to be on the shared top 10 coverage, meaning that if you have all top 10, you're going to use one of these two on that track every single time, and that would be recommended. And hopefully you're putting tickets in these top 10, and so really you're picking between these. If you don't have one of these 10, if you don't have, like a good example would be, say, for Daisy Hills T, since we've already mentioned it, if you don't have the Dozer Dasher, and you don't have the Kabuki Dasher, you might be behind, whether it be at ranked or ACR. There's probably going to be competition that might have an advantage over you, and you might want to think about what you can do to try to get one of these carts. So there's kind of a widespread overlap with the shared top 10. None of these carts are shared 3 times, which actually in the future slides, I'll let you know, I highlight them in red if they are shared more than three or more times. As for the unique top 10 coverage, you see a good number of tracks here. I mean, when you're looking at 6 or 7 options, even the lowest is 4 options. You have a lot to go off of. A good example, though, would be, say, the Mario Circuit 1R. If you don't have that, pirate sushi cart or sushi racer that's basically been released just a couple of tours ago, and you have this Kabuki Dash that's been around for a long period of time, most likely you're going to be using this course. Like myself, and don't have some of these like Cheer Mellow or have the full deck bus, the Kabuki Dasher is going to be most likely the one you use anyway. So want to point your eyes here, as well as also explain that if an RT track is on here, it is highlighted with purple, and a city track is highlighted in red. So this one really, the Kabuki Dasher it only has 3 unique tracks that are not RT or city, but still a strong cart, and it makes our list based on what we just mentioned there, with 13 top tracks and ranked over the last year. And I foresee it continue to be brought into play, especially having been in that big Dasher. I know I was able to get caught up to speed as well. So to start our list, it's nice to start with the Kabuki Dasher. Now moving from one dash panel plus to another dash panel plus, but on the other end of the spectrum when it comes to release date, we're going to move to the Blue Soda. Tell us a little bit about Blue Soda.
So Blue Soda is also a dash panel plus, so it can be used a lot whenever those dash panels show up, and we'll talk about those courses later. It showed up during the Marine Tour, which is the beginning of July, so that was a little bit over 3 months ago, actually. It has 13 tracks, top tracks to its name. 11 of them are assumed, so it has a couple city tracks that were most recently added with the Los Angeles laps from the LA Tour. It's only been used in rank modes 6 times since release, but again, that accounts for 14.3%. And as you can see, that's highlighted because that is the largest percentage. That's the highest percentage of any of the top 10 carts that we're going to talk about today. So it's been used quite a bit since introduced. 6 times, again, not very much, but that's quite often since beginning of July. And it's been a spotlight item during the Marine Tour during week 1. It was also in week 2 as a non-spotlight item. And it was also most recently in the beachside pipe during the LA Tour. It's been in 3 different pipes so far. It is about middle of the road for rarity. So if you're able to pull on one of those pipes, either the Marine Tour pipes or the beachside pipe, you've been able to hopefully get blue soda, because it would be worth your while to be able to get that. Two of the courses that go great with it from its top shelf are Royal Raceway T, Koopa Troopa Beach, and Koopa Troopa Beach RT. All three of those have a lot of dash panels assigned to it, so if you happen to have blue soda, it would go well for any of those.
Great point, Tabor. I appreciate that. So what's unique about the blue soda is that it's not unique in all comparisons. So you'll see there's only 4 courses, one of which is a city, that has its own unique top 10 coverage. And so, and then when you look on the far right, the shared top 10 coverage, it actually shares 3 tracks with the OffRoader and 3 tracks with the Gilded Prancer. So, when you think about your portfolio of karts, having 3 tracks that overlap with those 2 great karts, and thinking about dash panel versus a jump boost or a mini turbo, you're probably not going to want to use soda in those blue soda in those environments. So in some realities, it's kind of like Rosa swimwear, where she's great, but she just has so much other coverage you may not find, especially at a lower level. Compared to some of the other tracks, you may not find yourself using blue soda, but it does have a lot of coverage. So for those new players who just started this summer, or even some of those who started around the same time as I did in April, you might find yourself as, hey, maybe I can just go ahead and bump this one up, and I may not have a lot of what else everyone else has and be able to get caught up to speed, especially when you're thinking about cap tickets, etc. When you do look at some of these courses that blue soda does have as unique, you have a lot of options when it comes to normals, the commons, and the supers. Each course has at least 2 common/supers. I think except for the Los Angeles Laps R, which still has the soda jet, and I think the other soda kart. And I think from that standpoint, most everyone has that at a pretty decent level. So again, you might not find yourself using it, but it is a very useful course, and it does seem like Nintendo likes them, having brought it into the rank mode 14.3%. So I think a wide look at this. And however, if you are pretty strong with the Blackwing, what am I thinking? It's not Blackwing. If you have Dozer Dasher, if you have some of these other karts under the great pairings, it might be good to maybe have blue soda at a high level. So to our final Dash Plus kart on the list, number 8, my personal favorite Dasher, Dozer Dasher. Such a cool kart. Tell us a little bit about it, Tabor.
Yeah, so the Dozer Dasher was introduced during the Trick Tour. That's when Builder Mario and Builder Toad were introduced, and this kind of goes along with that. Dozer Dasher, it's all about construction, trying to build things, and so it makes sense for it to have come out then. That's back in April. It was a spotlight item during the Trick Tour during week 1, and it was a non-spotlight item during week 2, and that's it. Those are the only pipes that it's been involved in for spotlight for spotlight. And then shortly after that, it started being put into the pipes regularly as just a common high-end item. So it's actually been in 23 different pipes. It's one of the more common ones that we're going to talk about today. But it was only a spotlight during the Trick Tour only, so you weren't guaranteed it after that. It was also part of a banner during the Exploration Tour. It was a $20 banner if you had the money and wanted to spend it on that to guarantee getting the Dozer Dasher if you missed it during the Trick Tour. It has 13 top tracks to its name, and all 13 of them are assumed, so absolutely 0 city tracks. Might change if they start buffing some items to go into this next, the anniversary tour, but right now it's got a full value of 13 and 13. 9 times it's been used in rank mode, and that's 12.5%, which is pretty high. That's about 1 in 8. And then because it's, again, a dash panel plus, the best courses that go along with its top shelves are both Bowser Castle 2T and Daisy Hills T. Now, if you have a jump cart with one of those courses, odds are that's going to be okay as well. But if you're specifically looking to invest in Dozer Dasher, then these are the courses that you'd want to make sure you use it on.
Yeah, I personally love the fact that it doesn't have any city tracks and only has 2 RT tracks, but it's such a cool kart, and I think when we now have this free high-end, I think we're calling it clear pipe, and it's pulling from these pipes that the Dozer Dasher is in. I think just in general, a lot of people have it and have it at a much higher rate than we did karts prior to that all clear pipe. So that's helpful to kind of keep in mind as well. I think when we're looking at just kind of coming from a pay to win player, one thing I keep track of when you look at a specific banner, when you're looking at the different packs that they have, a lot of times they have the $40 pack as the cart and the driver together, and they typically have the glider in the $20 pack by itself and maybe some points. I will just kind of point this out. When you have a cart that's in the $20 pack, especially if it's a good skill, you might want to actually, I've noticed that it's been a very valuable cart. And so just keep that in the back of your mind. If you see a cart in the $20 pack, take a second look at it. I think the Star Spangled cart that's out just for the next 2 days is in that boat, and we might see it to the Dozer Dasher. Brought a lot of value. So just keep an eye, just let that be a red flag to you going forward. As for the Dozer Dasher and his unique coverage here, you got to see, obviously what sticks out to you is this unique column here. You have so many unique tracks, and many of them only have like one super in it. So you don't have a lot of overlap with, supers or commons that you might have at a very high level. You might have one, and they might be, slipstream, or they might be rocket start. And so in a lot of these situations, you're going to want to use the dozer for sure. One thing I wanted to point out is that Clanky cart does overlap with it 3 times, which kind of makes sense. It was kind of around, that building exploration type of thing and theme there. So just kind of want to point it out, it does overlap 3 times with that. So if you have that to a high level with a jump boost, you might be using that one in those 3 different tracks. So just want to point that out. But a lot of great tracks here. You see there's so many different when it comes to Mario Circuit. You got Choco, you got a Bowser's, you got a Cheap, Daisy T. And it doesn't overlap with any of the other top 10 more than twice, which would be the OffRoader. Again, kind of a little bit more adventurous type of card as it is. So it's my personal favorite Dash Panel Plus card, and it's the highest one here on our list. And just a spoiler alert, we don't have any slipstream on this list. So now we're on to the jump boost and mini turbo carts, which are based on the skill, obviously the highest on our list. So Gilded Prancer, a unique card. I know a lot of people have used a lot of tickets on it, especially in snowy weather. But tell us a little bit more, Tabor.
So the thing about Gilded Prancer is that it was introduced during the Ice Tour back in January, the middle of January. And on my list of my rankings for the most rare cart, this is actually number 8 on my list. So it's one of the ones that were kind of hard to get. You were guaranteed to get it if you wanted to pay $40 during the Peach Tour. It was a banner during that tour. But other than that, it's only been in 2 pipes. It was the spotlight of the Ice Tour during week 1, and it was a non-spotlight during the Ice Tour of week 2. And that's it. That's the only chance you've had to get it during the Ice Tour, or if you decided to pay the $40 during the Peach Tour. So again, very rare, but it's been very valuable in the past so far, leading up to this point. It has 10 top tracks assigned to it. All 10 of them are non-city tracks. Again, not as high as some of the other numbers that we talked about, but a lot of these tracks has been used quite often, as you can see. 12 times it's been used in rank mode, and that's 10.5% of the time since it was introduced in January. And again, it's got Jump Boost Plus, which is always great during trick courses or RT courses. And as you can see, the ones that are assigned to it, the top shelves that are assigned to it, the ones that have the highest jumps, or the largest number of jumps in it are the Rainbow Road RT. And this is the 3DS version of Rainbow Road, as well as DK Pass RT. And as you know, because we've had a lot of DK Passes recently, and Rainbow Roads, both of them have a lot of jumps. It's almost just combo after combo after combo after combo. If you got the sound on, it's just sound after sound after sound of different things that are happening. So that's always great. It's great music to our ears whenever we're trying to get our points up. And if those jumps have a higher point total to them, assigned to them, that's going to do nothing but improve your score.
Great point there. I think both the unique and shared coverage on this list are not necessarily as plentiful, but look at it, it does have 4 RT tracks, but for a Jump Boost Plus, you actually kind of like the RT. It's obviously it's another trick course. So when you add the three that are unique, obviously 7 trick courses, even if they're reverse trick, is a great one to have paired with a Jump Boost Plus. So Gilded Prancer, very unique. I will just point out it does overlap with the Soda Jet 3 times. So if you're kind of debating on, and have them both at high levels, you might lose some coverage, or you might have a track that you can't use them both on. So just pointing that out. But overall, I know myself, having started in April, I missed a lot of the, I guess, snowier carts. So I don't have, the icy guys or the Comet Tail, but I do have the Gilded Prancer. So this one for me has helped, in a couple different ways. And so I think it's just something for those newer players. You might want to just to kind of diversify your portfolio of carts. And with that, we'll move to number 6, another Jump Boost Plus. Personally, probably my favorite Jump Boost Plus is the OffRoader. Tell us a little bit about the OffRoader, Tabor.
So the OffRoader, as we mentioned, is also Jump Boost Plus. And the thing about Jump Boost Plus for any player is that you obviously need to know the right lines to go on any of these courses. Even if you've got OffRoader at a high level and it doesn't have a lot of jumps, depending on which line that you take for where you go, you can make it, maximize the number of jumps and maximize the number of points that you get. So it's always so important not to just have the right carts and level them up, but also to make sure you know those courses. And there's all kinds of tutorials on YouTube. So feel free to follow any of your favorite YouTuber to be able to find out where you want to go, to be able to maximize your routes and the number of points that you go. But Jump Boost Plus for OffRoader was introduced during the Jungle Tour back in May. And it's only... It was in a spotlight during the week 2, so it was non-spotlight of week 1 during the during the Jungle Tour, and it was spotlight during week 2. It was also a non-spotlight during the LA Tour and a spotlight item during the week 2 LA Tour. And it's one of the least rare carts that we're going to talk about today. It is the least rare out of all 10. And it's regularly in a pipe. Whenever you pull a pipe, you always have the odds of getting a OffRoader, not always a spotlight. It is right now during the LA Tour, but even after this is done, it looks like it's always going to be one of those regular ones that you could possibly pick. 14 top shelves to its name. 13 of them are assumed. It does have one city track. The LA Laps RT was recently assigned to it, but it's got a great value in terms of the number of tracks. It's been used 7 times, which again, since May is not too bad. 11.7% of the ranked mode courses that's been introduced since it's been around. 11.7%, pretty good. And again, it's Jump Boost Plus. So Bowser's Castle 2T has got one of the higher jump values to it, as well as Airship Fortress T. Both of those have a lot of jumps that you can really maximize your points off using OffRoader.
Great point, Tabor. Man, I love this cart. When you look at the unique top 10 coverage, having 6 unique top tracks is wonderful. Some of these on here have slipstream or have another skill that you're going to want jump boost for. I will say personally, there's as Tabor mentioned, you oftentimes will get a couple different paths to work off of. And a good example of that would be like Rock Mountain. You have the option to take a kind of jump or another jump on the side, and so you kind of have to really try to plan your routes around those jump boosts, and if so, this OffRoader is great. It's also wide to help you get the coins. People say, I don't really see it, getting coins more than others, but I can personally say I personally love it because I feel like I can, get access to a dash panel just by catching the end of it, or being able to get a coin just with those giant wheels. And personally, I like the way it handles it because it's a little bit lower. Some people don't always believe that different carts handle differently, but I love it personally. As you can see, there's a lot of tracks where you only have one super option, and many of those are rocket start. So just kind of keep that in mind. You have a lot of shared top 10. However, most of those are shared with that Soda Jet, which is a little bit newer than the OffRoader. So in those cases, and obviously it being dash panel, like a good example is Koopa Troopa Beach RT. You might want to have OffRoader because it's jump boost versus using a dash panel. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. It is great for pairing because there are 5 different carts that don't have any overlap with it at all. Essentially, it overlaps with just the Dozer, the Soda Jet, and Wild Black. So from that standpoint, and obviously one with Rose Queen as well. So great card to have, and Nintendo keeps giving it to you, whether it be in this pipe or in banners. So they've definitely allowed you to be able to have access to it. I know even a lot of free to pay players have put their tickets on this for jump boosts, as well as also its frequency and being able to get access to it. So this is our top jump boost cart in our list, and now we're going to move forward to number 5, the second half of our list here, to our first mini turbo plus gold cheap charger. Tell us a little bit about GCC.
Yeah, so on the top 5, it's no surprise that all of the top 5 are mini turbo plus. So this starts us off. Gold cheap charger was introduced to us during the Marine Tour back in July, again about 3 months ago. And it was actually not a spotlight cart during that tour. The only way that you could, it was around, but the only way that you could get it is by clicking on the undersea pipe and trying your hand at that. And the undersea pipe, again, did not have any spotlight items. And so you were just hoping to get the gold cheap charger, but it's not very common because, again, it's not ever guaranteed. But if you were able to get that, then it's really reaped benefits for you. It has 12 top tracks assigned to it, 10 of which are non-city tracks. Both Tokyo Blur 3, introduced shortly after the Marine Tour, added a couple tracks to its name. It's been used in rank mode 6 times. Again, not very much, but since introduction in July, that accounts for 14.3%, and that actually ties the highest one with Blue Soda as the highest percentage of these top 10 that we're going to talk about. Again, it's Mini Turbo Plus. So for Mini Turbo Plus, you're looking for courses that don't have a lot of jumps, that don't have a lot of steepness or hills going on. You're looking for nice wide curves that you can just maximize your Mini Turbo Plus skill on. And the ones that we have highlighted down here that have the most opportunity for that we believe are Mario Circuit 3 and RMX Mario Circuit 1. Both of those have a lot of wide drifting places where you can just mini turbo to your heart's content and really build up those points using that.
Obviously, this is a unique cart in that it's a little bit more rare, and Nintendo has seemed to really like it. I think sometimes when we see this number of assumed courses and being it only at 10, some people would see that as a negative, but also think about it in a positive in that it's still new. They're still building tracks on it, and so if you see that Nintendo likes it with that high percentage of part of ranked, and it still has a couple tracks left to be added on it. It might have more future value than, say, the Kabuki Dasher. Just kind of putting that out there for what it's worth is just kind of keep that in mind. The good part about it is it has an even number of unique courses as well as shared courses. But the downside is that those unique courses have a lot of other cards. I mean, we're talking about 6, 7. I mean, even the lowest number of other cards on a track is 4 with that remixed Rainbow Road 1. And then when you look at Rainbow Road RT, you have 7 carts. I ran out of room there because that's the most I had seen for this entire slide deck. So it is good that it has a decent number of unique top 10 coverage, but it just shares with so many other carts. You may be finding yourself using other carts. But it does pair well with some of the other carts in the top 10. It does have 4 that it doesn't overlap with at all. And, a decent number of, I wouldn't say a lot, but a decent number of those tracks that Tabor was mentioning, that may not have tricks. So like a good example would be, say, Mario Circuit 3. It might be tough to be able to keep combo, especially if you don't have some of those other carts, or, that Cheap Lagoon where, being able to keep combo is instrumental, and it can be tough to be able to use that on, especially even if you're using a Dash Panel Plus cart like Dozer Dasher. So a unique cart, I will say, when you're looking at all the mini turbos on this list, it's number 5. We have so many other great carts coming up ahead. So I'll use that as our transition to talk to us a little bit about the Choco Macaroon. A very interesting cart. I don't have it at a high level. but it is wonderful on those chocolate courses. So tell us a little bit about Choco Macaroon.
Yeah, so Choco Macaroon is, again, our number 4 pick for the most valuable carts. It also has a Mini Turbo Plus. It was introduced during the cooking tour. It makes sense, being Choco Macaroon. And but that was back in June. It's only been available in 2 pipes. During the cooking tour, it was a spotlight during week 1, and it was non-spotlight during week 2, and then that's it. It's not been on any banners, and it's not been on any special pipes. It's just been on this. And so I was fortunate to be able to pull this and get this one recently, and actually it's paid dividends this tour because I've been able to use it on the RMX Choco Island, I believe, this tour during rank mode. And actually I did a point cap ticket on it, and then I think I have it at level 4, I believe. So it's been able to help me a lot. But it has a total value of top 10 tracks. All 10 of them are assumed. Again, not a lot compared to the other ones that we talked about, 12, 13, 14. But since it's been introduced, it's been involved in rank mode 7 times, which accounts for 13%, pretty high. And again, you're looking for Mini Turbo Plus, so you're looking for those courses that have nice wide open spaces or long straightaways where you can continue to keep combo. So that'd be, we decided that the ones that have the most for that would be Frappe Snowland T, as well as Calamari Desert 2R. Both of those have some long straightaways, whether it be on the railroad tracks or during the wide ice covered tracks, and then you can really maximize the number of points that you get using Mini Turbo Plus. So Choco Macaroon for number 4.
Awesome. I personally haven't used it a lot. Having started in April, this just kind of came out, and we had this pastry chef Shy Guy, and we had a strawberry and a choco, and then we had a crepe. It just was so much food going on. I didn't know what all was new, what was been around for a while from the Paris Tour, etc. But it definitely, I think out of all the carts, it has its own niche. It's got Choco Island, Remix Choco Island, Choco Island Reverse T, anything you imagine. If it's Choco Island, it's probably got Macaroon as one of its carts, and it pairs really well with another top 10 from the drivers list, Chef Mario, when it comes to those tracks, and obviously being very well paired for obvious reasons. But certainly a great cart to have. A lot of unique tracks. I think even some of the other carts that it shares are relatively new. If you look down, almost each one of these courses has a cart that's been released in the last 2 or 3 months alongside it. So you may not have a lot of options. And when it comes to the shared pairings, great pairings and which carts are not shared coverage with, you have 5 selection there. So I think when you're looking for diversifying what carts you have in your Rolodex there, I think having Choco Macaroon at a high level, like the way Tabor does, is a really smart idea. You may not want to do that, with a green apple or a red apple. It doesn't overlap with any other cart more than twice. So definitely very valuable there. Keep that in mind. I think it's even been very helpful for those who are still kind of new and don't have the other carts that might be around for a while. So great number 4 on our list. And now we'll move forward to a very, very unique, probably one of my favorites. Really, I love all these top 3, but this Happy Ride, tell us a little bit about it. Tell us why it's so happy.
All right, so Happy Ride came around during the Peach Tour in the middle of June. Again, Mini Turbo Plus, and it's an interesting one because it's been in these last 3 that we're going to talk about are 3 of the most rare cards that you could possibly get. Now, if you were lucky to pay for a banner or actually, that's it. The only way you could get these cards is through banners. They were not available in pipes. None of these top 3 are. So it makes it quite interesting and quite rare. Now, again, if you're pay to win, then great, you can do that. But this one is the most affordable out of them all. This was just a $4 item during the Peach Tour. And so, again, it was pretty reasonable. If you're looking at value for the money, you could just pay $4 and get this Happy Ride. And it wasn't really used that much during the Peach Tour, but then shortly after that, it started being used a lot more. So I think it really paid dividends for those people who decided to put the money up front. All of a sudden, as you can see, it's got 15 top tracks to its name, which is quite a bit. And as you can see, that's the most out of these top 10 that we talked about. And all 15 of them are assumed. No city tracks to its name at all. And it is Mini Turbo Plus, so that even adds to its value there. It's only been used 6 times in rank mode since it was introduced in the middle of June, but again, that accounts for about 1 in 8, so 12.5% of the rank modes has had Happy Ride as a top shelf. And again, it's Mini Turbo Plus. So you're looking for those long straightaways, those long sweeping turns, and you can definitely find those on Royal Raceway R as well as Donut Plains 1. Both of those are top tracks to its name. Both of those are great for being able to maximize your points using Mini Turbo Plus.
Tabor, I really hope you got this cart in that banner. Did you end up getting it?
I did not.
Oh man,
I know.
It is a great cart. It is a great cart, and I having started in April, I didn't get the 20 glider, the New Year's glider that they had for just $1 or $2, and it's. I remember when I first started, I'm like, dude, this glider, this 2020 glider, is brought up like every other week. And for me, it was just it was kind of soul crushing because it wasn't coming, and I knew it wasn't going to come back. So hopefully you, unlike Tabor, you did buy it. And I think from that standpoint, it's been very effective. I remember when the cap tickets came out for the very first time, I was looking at all the carts to uncap, and I honestly, the Happy Ride had never been a part of any ranked, and I went ahead and uncapped it because I knew the value would be there. I know it would keep going up, and it, for me, paid dividends. When you think about how many tracks it's gotten, 15, no cities. You really can't beat this cart with Mini Turbo Plus. It's a wonderful cart. I will kind of point things out. It does have a lot of overlap with the Rose Queen, more than any other overlap with our shared top 10. It has 4 tracks that it overlaps with. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, they're both Mini Turbo Plus, so it's a toss-up as to which one you might have or want to use. It does share with the Beach Asher. It does have 3 overlaps with there. But overall, man, this is a wonderful cart, especially when you think about it having only 2 RT tracks, no cities. So it has a full breadth of tracks that are ready for its use. And I will say, out of all the different carts that have overlap, this has the least amount of non-overlapping tracks. It doesn't overlap with OffRoader and Wild Black, and that's it. Everyone else, it overlaps it with at least 1 track. So putting it out there, Nintendo, it has these very, very unique carts every once in a while. Sometimes they're not as useful, like the Rhomba Rider, but this Happy Ride has been extremely valuable, and I think they're going to continue to incorporate. I know that there are some really tracks that don't necessarily like it on, like like in general, like Donut Plains, or some really hard tracks like Toad Circuit to keep combo. So having Happy Ride is extremely valuable on those. Just want to point that out. I hate to rub salt in the wound there, Tabor, but this is a great cart. Well, now Insanity, we'll move to number 2.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of hoping that, for anniversary, they might bring back some of these more rare ones that it's hard to get. But all 3 of these that we're going to talk about, Happy Ride as well as the top 2, are all just super, super rare. And it's pretty much you only had 1 chance.
We'll move forward to the card I just mentioned, Rose Queen. Tell us a little bit about Rose Queen. It's probably the one you're using much more than Happy Ride.
So Rose Queen, was introduced during the Flower Tour in May. Again, it's got Mini Turbo Plus. It's one of those that are, again, super, super rare. It has not been available on any pipe at the time of recording. It was never a spotlight. It has been available in 2 banners. It was a $20 cart on a $20 banner during the Flower Tour when it was introduced. And it was also in a $40 cart during the Super Mario Kart Tour last time. And so again, if you decided to do pay to win and wanted to shell out the money to be able to get this cart, it's arguably great value because it's the number 2 cart, what we're saying in the game. And it has another great cart with a high value of 14 top tracks. All 14 of them are assumed. And it's been used in ranked mode 8 times up to this point since it was introduced in May, and that amounts to 12.1% of all ranked courses since introduction. And again, it's Mini Turbo Plus. So you're looking for those big courses that have wide, flat spaces with nice sweeping turns where you can just maximize your potential for Mini Turbo Plus. And you're going to see that in both Airship. If you can imagine the Airship, it's got that nice spiral winding place Once you make the glide over, then you can just kind of continue to use that for Mini Turbo Plus and get point after point after point. Airship Fortress and Airship Fortress R, as well as Royal Raceway, the regular one. So again, this one is actually number 6 on my rarity list. It's one of the ones that, again, were not available anywhere except to pay. So for free-to-play players like me, it's pretty much impossible to get at this point unless I wanted to break my free-to-play label and shell out some money, which I've only done that twice, just to let you know. I've done that for the $2 2020 glider when that came out, and I most recently did it for the $4 Super Mario Kart Tour glider that came out that was special. Because I realized that those are going to be, I realized my mistake on Happy Ride, and I didn't want to possibly make that mistake again, but that's more of the exception than the rule whenever I spend money like that.
Awesome. We won't spoil the top 10 drivers list, but let's just say the driver that looks really accommodating to the color scheme of this Rose Queen did very, very well on that list. That's our Pink Gold Peach. Obviously, she's been in it, kind of associated similar banners, with Rose Queen, and I personally love using the combo just for aesthetic reasons. But I want to point your eyes towards this long list of unique and shared coverage, man. This is with no 2 city tracks. Oh man, this is a great kart. And when you look at what courses it has as top shelf, I mean, it runs the gambit. You have Shy Guy in there, Air Fortress, Waluigi Pinball. You have a couple Mario circuits, a Toad circuit, a little Vanilla Lake, Rainbow Road. I mean, it definitely has a wide variety of courses that it's tied to it, and I think just in general, it's a wonderful kart, especially for those pay to win. I know I have it at level 6, and I love it. I personally, it's one of my favorite to use. I think it handles pretty well, and overall, it's a great kart with Mini Turbo Plus, no city. You really can't ask for anything more. Really, the only thing that you can ask for more than that would be what you see on this next slide, which is our number 1 on the list, Wild Black. You probably have done the process of elimination throughout this slide deck and realized the Wild Black was on our list here. But 16 top tracks. Yes, it has 2 cities, but just look at that. Look at that. That's beauty right there. I'll let you go forward, Tabor, and tell us a little bit about Wild Black.
Yeah, so Wild Black was introduced during the Trick Tour, and again, it's and this actually is my number 1 rarest kart in the game. And the reason for that it's more number 1 than the last one with Rose Queen is the Rose Queen had 2 banners to it of a $20 and a $40, and I decided that this one being 2 banners, also 40 and 40, makes it rarer than a 20 and a 40 just because it's more expensive to be able to get. So it was introduced during the Trick Tour, and you could get it if you decided to pay $40 for the banner to get it. And if you missed it then, it came back during the Pirate Tour, and you could pay $40 to get it then, but that's the only way that you could get the Wild Black. At this point, it's pretty valuable kart, we believe. As Studfit has already referred to, it has 16 top tracks to its name, 14 are assumed. It's got a couple different Tokyo Blur tracks assigned to it, but a lot of these tracks have been used very regularly. 9 times since introduction has it been used in rank mode. That amounts to 12.5% of the time, about 1 in 8. Pretty much you can almost guarantee to see it once every tour. And then again, it's got Mini Turbo Plus, and so again, you're looking for those types of tracks that do well with that skill, and all the Neo Bowser cities kind of have the same in terms of Mini Turbo Pluses. So I put them all on here, including the R and the T and the RT, as well as Waluigi Pinball RT. They have some jumps, but there's also some great opportunities for you to be able to get some Mini Turbo Plus points to be able to maximize. But this is our number 1 kart in the game, the Wild Black. Again, for those people who are pay to win, you probably have it. For those people who are free to play like me, you're probably drooling and wishing that it becomes available somehow. But if you do have it, you're not disappointed. You probably put a lot of tickets on it, and it served you well.
Yeah, I mean, you know how the slides have worked thus far, and you see that unique top 10 coverage. I mean, you have 11 unique top 10 coverage courses here, and you notice there, right there in the middle, you have there 4 different Bowser's Castle versions, and you see one on the right when it comes to shared. This is the number 1 kart for essentially, I won't say the number, but a top 5 driver that we did on our top 10 drivers list, Old Dry Bones. And, he's paired really well with Wild Black in addition to the Barrel Hanafuda, paired really well with the Wild Black as well for mainly for these Bowser's Castle. Such a great cart. I mean, I really can't say enough about it. It has some overlap. It's actually got four different carts that it shares 3 or more tracks with, all not in the top 10. You see there the Ghost Ride, the Jack, and the Pink Wing, and the Black Kabuki. So just kind of keep that in mind. For those people like Tabor that don't have it, you might want to look into these carts, because these might be your makeup carts, the carts that you're able to potentially use in substitute for, especially if they keep adding more carts, kind of similar to one another. But man, there's no reason. I don't think there's any debate as to what our number one cart is in the game. You can see why so much unique courses there. There's a couple that overlap when it comes to the shared coverage, but it has 5 that it doesn't overlap with at all. I mean, it really is the best almost in every category. The top tracks rank, it's only got 12.5 versus the highest at 13.5. But really, if you're in the grand scheme of things, that's not a big difference. It really almost is the perfect cart, and one cart that you almost hope so bad that comes back for the anniversary for people like yourself, Tabor. So this was a great list. I love this list. I'm very solid about the ones here, but would love to hear your opinion. Let us know if you disagree with any of these. I doubt you disagree with at least the Wild Black, but would love to hear your opinion. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, we'll be running with this glider top 10 here in the next day or so. But thank you so much for joining us, and as always, Tabor, thank you so much for all the hard work you do to put together the spreadsheet. Definitely check it out if you haven't. The link is below in the comments. So thank you guys all so much.
All right, thanks everybody. See you next time.